All right, what's going on, guys? Welcome into today's edition of In the Game. I am your host, Hustle, and as always, we will be diving deep into the NFT market today. And specifically speaking, we're going to talk about what really is utility in the NFT space and what to look for strengths inside of projects. And also, I'm joined by Hassan and Zan from Steady Stack NFT. We have a lot to talk about on the utility that they will be providing inside of their collection as well, revolutionizing the space also with SaaS NFTs. We'll talk about that and more in this edition. So let's just dive right into it. And Hassan and Zan, how are y'all doing today?
Doing well, brother. Blessed. Can't complain. How you doing?
I'm doing awesome. I'm excited to finally have y'all on the show because obviously we do these Twitter spaces a lot. In case y'all don't know, in the chat box, we do a lot of Twitter spaces on the future of NFTs. So this is definitely a conversation that's close to our hearts as far as where the space is going. So I think it's going to be a lot of value dropped in this edition. So I'm happy to have you guys on.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited because I feel like too often these concepts are ignored, right? Because everybody's just looking for those degenerate gains. They don't want to face reality, right? But once we really start thinking about these things, that's how we're going to push a brighter and more sustainable future for NFTs as a whole. So, Zan, if you have anything to add as well.
No, just excited to be here. Obviously, we chop it up all the time, Hustle, over the phone. We've been planning on connecting and doing a lot of cool things. And then obviously getting to a point of developing some sort of thought leadership inside of the space, talking about what's going wrong, what's going right. And I think what's really unique is, because it's such a new space, and we talked a little bit about high tide and low tide a little bit earlier. What's so unique about the space is that in the beginning, when there was so much money to fuel this space, unfortunately, the people who were in that flow of money weren't going out and actually developing real value and real utility. And that's what actually allows businesses and operations to grow and exist. And so we're seeing kind of the meltdown that we saw. And hopefully, we learn from it and are able to inspire some founders and things like that to develop some legitimate utility and obviously push the space forward.
Yeah, definitely. And I love the analogy that you make with the high tide, low tide. And we'll talk all about kind of the flaws in the space, as well as get into everything you guys are doing in this episode. So in case anyone is new to the project or new and doesn't know Hassan or Zan personally or over the web, Ready Player H and Zan Shaikh on Twitter. But go ahead and introduce yourselves, your background and business, as well as how did you get into Web3? Because one of the things I always say, and you've probably heard this, is bet on people, not promises. So obviously y'all's background's super strong. If y'all want to go ahead and tell people y'all's background in the space.
Yeah, absolutely. Zan, take it away.
Yeah, for sure. And so about 10 years ago, Hassan and I were really just looking at our opportunities, and we realized that at the end of the day, the way that the world is structured, the way that society runs, it just makes the most sense if you can figure it out to be your own boss, to build a company, to build some sort of organization. So that was kind of like the initial desire behind getting into business. And obviously we had a lot of lows, and now we're experiencing some of the highs. But we really we're fortunate enough to have a group of mentors around us that were able to teach us business fundamentals, what it really means to run a successful business, what it means to actually develop an operation, why leadership is important. And so, lucky enough, Hassan and I have been able to build a multi-8-figure operation. Uniquely enough, Hassan, I'd love for you to share the kind of our foray into the NFT space. But one day Hassan comes to me and he's got the eyes of a madman, and he's telling me, Zan, I need to tell you what we need to get into because it's just such a unique space. And Hassan, you can kind of take it away.
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, guys, I really do want you guys to be able to take away kind of, some of the fundamentals and concepts that we're going to be talking about. Because again, like Zan said, in a high tide, when people are taking advantage of a bull run, nobody's looking at the fundamentals. Nobody's looking under the hood, right? Like even if you go look at SaaS companies or you go look at the stock market, right? Why did we see a massive bubble over the past 2 years? Well, obviously because of the money printing, but at the same token, when that happens, look at how people are investing. And they're not looking at fundamentals. They're not looking at PE ratios. They're pretending like those things don't exist, right? And then when the low tide comes, everybody realizes, oh yeah, it was inevitable. The PE ratios are going to come down. Revenue does matter. Cash flow does matter. We do need money to stay alive. And so, again, having a business background, being able to build a multi 8-figure company over the past, like Zan said, decade, we've just been able to gain so many insights that I think are the key parts that are missing from the NFT space, right? Because so many people in crypto and NFTs, the only piece that is missing is that business acumen of how to generate cash flow, how to generate profits and revenue, because so much money is just flooded into the space, right? Like you look at all the top 10 projects, almost none of them are generating actual revenue. I mean, look at the top 100, it's even worse, right? There's no revenue, there's no business model, but still they're getting funded with billions of dollars, right? And so that just makes them kind of ignore all the things that actually matter when it comes to sustaining a project and taking it the distance. Right.
Yeah. And one of the things that we've been very fortunate is, with our business, we're cash flow entrepreneurs. We've developed businesses from scratch from the very beginning, no investment dollars, no outside debt raise, no nothing, right? We don't go to the bank for money, even though we're building our credit profiles right now to go make some bigger plays. But to the point that we've been at so far, we literally have not needed anyone's money whatsoever. And so it's gotten us to a point where we're phenomenally resourceful. And that resourcefulness allows for you to stretch what you've got quite far. Even to this point, very limited amount of marketing dollars. We were really using a FOMO guerrilla marketing approach to even get the kind of buzz that we've gotten. And also at the end of the day, we've gotten lucky with being able to master understanding product market fit and offer creation. So because of the way that we've kind of picked up those skills, we've been able to package this all up and make it in a way where it's generated a lot of buzz, provided a lot of value, and given a great experience to the people that interact with us.
And the key that you guys are going to see is that, like we will preach over and over and over again, and this, Johnny, because we're always on the future of NFTs, is NFTs are businesses at the end of the day as well. I mean, even these crypto projects are, and going into a little bit of our Web3 background, we've been investing early since 2016, 2017, nothing crazy like the 2013 sub $1 days, but we have been around, right? And we got our shorts pulled down in the first low tide for us, back in 2017, 2018. But having that reference experience was extremely helpful and valuable. Even throughout the entire bull run, we were comparing, the ICO craze back then to the NFT craze now. And so when we saw, NFTs as a technology kind of surfacing, I just spent a ridiculous amount of time getting into it, buying your lazy lions. We spent, a ridiculous amount of money on Neo Tokyo and just kind of figuring out, what is everything that's under the hood of these NFTs. And so the deeper we got into it, the more we fell in love with the technology, but we really just realized that it wasn't being applied the best way. And so that's where we saw, a massive opportunity to be able to come in and lead a brighter future for Web3 as a whole.
Yeah, I love the approach. And as you guys said, Web3 companies, whether it's an NFT or a coin, it's a business. And I think in the NFT space, during the NFT and just the last cycle with the bull run in the fall, I feel like so many people just had a sprint to launch and then kind of just let it coast, right? To them, it was a product launch and it wasn't captured as a business, because in a business, you have to continuously deliver for your holders, right? This is actually one of the rare spaces where for some weird reason, there's founders out there that think they don't owe it to their investors to keep delivering down the line. So that business acumen that you guys bring to the table, I think, is super valuable and has to be taken more of in the space, because that's why we're seeing 99% of these projects right now tanking to the floor. And we're oddly seeing this wave of meme NFTs, which are free mints, right? So let's just talk about where the space is now, right? And I know we all hate where it is right now because we have a bunch of basically what I would say gambling going on, a bunch of free mints on meme culture projects. I would even say, Goblin Town, God hates NFTs. This Saudis one's done really well. And then we already have derivatives, the Bored Ape Saudis. We have the Saudi OK Bears. It's just ridiculous, the things that are popping up that are basically just pure cash grabs, trying to generate those royalties off of these free mints. So let's just talk about where the space is right now. And what are your thoughts on the NFT space at the moment? And what would you define as true utility for people to look for inside of projects?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's clear as day, right? I mean, these projects are complete garbage for lack of better terms. And, again, it all stems from that high tide when things are just so euphoric, right? And you can see the market cycle chart as well. When things are so euphoric, people are making, gains left and right on ETH, Bitcoin, everybody's profitable as a holder and literally anything. What they end up doing is taking profits and then just fizzling those profits into what they see to be potential massive gains, right? And this kind of stems from the beginning of the NFT space as a whole as well. I mean, if you look at projects like Bored Ape, really what ended up happening and transpiring is a whole psychology. And I think this is where the psychology is flawed. And at the end of the day, guys, we're so early. If we can adopt the right principles and operate like good investors, we can actually push forward the future of NFTs and crypto as a whole faster because we can show that we're mature and we're educated, right? And so essentially what happens is you see a project like Bored Ape, it goes up hundreds and hundreds of X's. And so project founders say, oh, I can just make an ape collection and make all this money. And holders look at it and say, hey, I can make hundreds and hundreds of X's, right? And so it kind of just turns into this game, right? Where it literally is greater fool's theory. And that's not going to push the tech forward. NFTs are digital receipts, they're businesses, they're product offerings in a digital fashion. And, the more we can push towards that, the closer we're going to get to actual utility, the closer we're going to get to mass adoption. And we're going to get rid of this mass narrative of scam, right? Because, you talk to anybody on the street who doesn't buy NFTs, they think they're scams, right?
And for the people that don't know the greater fool's theory, it means that the product's only surviving because there is a greater fool than you that's willing to buy, for those who don't know that reference, because I think that is a lot of what these projects are enticing, right? Zan, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you look at the stock market, for example, and you look at how, because the greater fool's theory does apply to all markets because markets are greatly inefficient. You do see that, for example, like stocks like Rivian, right, where there's really no operation behind it. There's really no solid business plan. It's really just, hey, we're going to launch this EV truck and it's going to make a lot of money. And they signed some deals with Amazon. And so that gets a lot of hype. And that greater fool's theory is operating. You go take a look at Rivian stock. It's down terribly. You go take a look at their recent news filings. They just said that they're going to lay off quite a few of their workforce. Now you go take a look. I'm literally showing this example in stock market so you can see it in the NFT space. Is when you go take a look at Tesla, for example, it's holding quite well up against the rest of the companies that are bleeding. Reason being is that there's an immense amount of value being provided. And so when things go wrong in markets, investors, people who are founders, people who are just trying to get into the space in general, they're taking a look at real metrics like cash flow, like cash reserves, like accounts receivables, things like that. So they know, okay, this business can survive. Now you go take a look at the NFT space and obviously what happens? We have a collapse where not a lot of projects are used to putting out projects with utility because there's that idea that, hey, we're selling art, right? For a lot of these things, they're trying to use the idea of having really unique pieces of art, almost like
one-time product.
Exactly, right? And so they're basing the utility off of there's this scarcity, there's this value add because it's a digital profile picture, whatever it may be. And so, we're getting to this point where no projects are actually going out and developing sustainable utility. And so you're just going to keep seeing these things pop up where there's some sort of cash grab. We went from having 3 ETH mints to free mints. And I think the space is really going to be in shambles until a certain percentage of founders go out, develop projects with legitimate utility, just like companies like Amazon when we had the .com bubble pop. And went from $116 to $6 per share. What did Jeff Bezos say? He sat down and he said, look, the outfacing metrics of the market were showing me that Amazon was tanking, but all the internal metrics of the business were showing, hey, our customer retention's up, our growth rate's up, our sales volume's up. So that's kind of what's happening right now. The space really needs to evolve in terms of what the founders are doing and their belief systems and how they want to show up.
Yeah. And it is a leap of faith. And honestly, if there's one thing that you guys do take away, the reason why everything has transpired the way it has is that it's massive, massive, massive market inefficiency, right? And NFTs are literally the cusp of that. And, you know, if you take something like SaaS businesses, right? SaaS businesses were selling for 20x, 30x, 40x multiples at the height of the bull run. And now you're seeing an average of 5x, right? Why is that? Is because people are actually looking at the numbers, they're looking at the financials, and they're now making the decisions. And when you apply that same strategy to NFTs, there's no surprise why these NFTs are down so much. It's because when you look at it, none of these NFTs have cash flow. And you guys need to understand cash flow is just revenue and profits, right? That's the lifeblood of any business. And so if your only method of staying alive in your business is trading volume, the only way you make money is if the NFT is exchanging a lot of hands. And so that's either if you're,
which is not a good thing anyway. Yeah.
It's not a good thing. Amazon would never do that. Jeff Bezos would never do that. And so we need to operate like those guys if we want something to be sustainable in the long run, because the only way you're going to get trading volume is if you're driving hella hype, a lot of hype, or there's bad news and there's a lot of flipping going on, right? And so there's no sustainability in the long term. And, you know, I've literally seen, because we analyze the data, there's projects that were making hundreds of thousands of dollars a month during the bull, and they're now making less than $10,000 a month. And so if you don't have predictability, scalability, you know, in your revenue generating mechanisms, you will not be able to thrive as a company. You will be scraping on to survive. And that's why all these projects not even lasting 5 months. I mean, even if they last 6 months, it's a surprise, which it shouldn't be. Right.
And I think the PFP wave too is about to start really kind of it's not going to go away. I think people love that digital footprint type of identity that they can kind of relate with whatever their favorite collection is. I know we use Neo Tokyo Citizens, for example, as our PFPs, and it's a community that we're really embedded with. And there's a couple of communities out there, right, that do provide real value. Let's just take it for Neo Tokyo, Gents Croquet Club by Eman Gadji. His collection has a lot of real business acumen to it. Neo Tokyo with the metaverse builder aspect. So let's kind of dive into what you guys are doing with Steady Stack, because obviously it plays into this whole lack of utility in the NFT space. And I think what you guys are doing is really special because it brings a lot of the aspects of your business background, but not only that, but what people are looking for inside of Web3 together in one place. So in your guys' own words, can you define Steady Stack for those in the audience?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, you know, the 3 projects that you just mentioned, Neo Tokyo, Gents Croquet Club, and Steady Stack, right? Like these are the types of Amazons that actually have more under the hood that can help them sustain, right? And I have nothing against PFPs. I love PFPs. It's actually why we kept our NFT as a PFP, even though most utility-based NFTs, you might see them as like an access pass, but we kept it as a PFP because that is a very valid meta. I mean, I love my PFPs. I love my NFTs, and I like them for that reason. I can identify with them, right? But what's actually going to keep it around? What's going to build a moat around you so that you can survive and you can't just be copycatted like that? You can't just be derivative like that, right? It's what's actually under the hood. And so with Steady Stack, essentially what we've built is, you know, obviously when it comes to Web3, communities are number one, right? You can't get anything like the Web3 communities that we do. And so, you know, that is a focal point of what we have here is we have an investor Illuminati. But what we've done is we've gone ahead and we've actually provided additional value under the hood that actually builds a moat and makes it special, right? So we have alpha callers, we have AMAs, we have events, we have private accesses to different tools and resources. Because what is a mastermind, right? It's proximity to the right people. It's access to the things that you need to get ahead in that field, right? And so essentially what we've done is we've slam packed this NFT with, you know, all different types of access to, you know, we're working on things like crypto mining access for people to be able to invest into in a hands-free way. We have a proprietary trading algorithm that will be accessible to Titans. And so there's just so much value that we're actually adding under the hood to make this something that's sustainable in the long run. And the best thing is that this will be a project that stands beyond just this one Titan, which, you know, again, it is kind of following the meta of the current market where, you know, the price can go up to any degree, right? But what we're moving towards is introducing these concepts, right? Because you have to meet the market where it's at to really make a hard change. The concepts that we're really looking to bring in are SaaS NFTs and subscription NFTs, which we are rolling out as soon as we have this initial mint. And those will be the operations in which provide cash flow to this business so that it never goes under and so that it can always be scaled, right? And so when people really see how we're using the SaaS and subscription NFTs, not as the next 100x opportunity, because that's what all these NFTs are. They're the next 100x, right? And we don't want that. We want to build communities where people buy into it and they hold forever, right? And how do you do that? You gamify the ecosystem on the back end with things like the subscription and SaaS NFTs. And so a lot of really, really cool things cooking. The only way you can really experience it is if you hop in the Discord, because that's the only way you'll be able to see everything. But Zan, if I missed anything, please, add anything that you feel should be mentioned.
No, I think you hit the nail on the head, right? Really, the best way to describe it is investor Illuminati. We've packaged up all the things that we've learned throughout our journey and experiences as investors, traders, and business owners. And we've put that all together and made it accessible to people in a way that probably never would have been accessible before. So we're doing it in a manner that's going to be able to push the space forward. And really the best way to look at it is investor Illuminati. If you're interested in steady stacking, right? If you're interested in increasing your net worth and increasing your financial odds while also increasing your level of network and relationships, then you want to get in. And unfortunately, I can't use my catchphrase at the end of the day anymore because people are saying I say it too much. So.
And one perfect example is, Johnny is an advisor of this project. Give you an example of how we're making this the investor Illuminati. And Johnny, especially if you guys are watching this, one of the top crypto gaming heads in the world, right? And so if Johnny is a member of this community and he's providing value in his own gaming crypto channel, right? And he can drop, the games that he's really looking at because he understands gaming better than 99.9% of people. Well, we all know that those 50Xs and 100Xs, like this past cycle, they're going to come back, right? And so if you're there, if you're in the community, you're going to be able to take advantage of those opportunities before everybody else and really get ahead of the curve, right? And that's what this is about. I mean, that's what the Illuminati is. You have access to things that nobody else has access to. And so that's exactly what we're building. And it's been going extremely well so far. I mean, we've been completely organic and the community is just amazing. They really appreciate what we built.
Yeah, definitely. This one thing absolutely undisputable is that the steady stat community shows up every single day and they are wanting to soak up all the information across all the different aspects of the server, which I absolutely love. Because as you said, without a community, and we see this with celebrity NFTs all the time, they just think with 1 million followers, they can mint out their collection with no Web3 NFT marketing plan leading up to it. So, obviously, you could have this big fan base, but community is mainly everything as far as these NFT projects and staying loyal and wanting to be a part of it and bringing subscription aspects to the NFT space. I think that's where we're really going to see the space move long term too. Actually providing alpha information or access to something exclusive that can only be had by holding these type of access passes like a Neo Tokyo, like a Steady Stack, like my Future collection as well. There's a bunch of different things that will provide you that key inside of these access passes and servers to get that information. And also talk about the algorithm, because I know in this bear market, right, a lot of people in crypto it's been very hard to make money, right, in crypto in the last 8 months. And I would say that the algorithm has definitely brought a new spin for a lot of people who were potentially having trouble making a little bit of money and profits within this market. If y'all want to talk about the algorithm, because obviously the testimonials from the algorithm speak for themselves, and you can see them all in the Discord server as well. Zan, I know this is your baby if you want to take that.
For sure. So really over the last 4 years, I've gotten really obsessed with trading. The reason why, a little story, is at the time our business was doing $100,000 a month, and I was at an event and I met a trader, and he told me that he just made $100,000 in the last hour, and I was like, oh my god, well, all right, well, I'm learning how to develop cash flow and it's awesome, but I definitely have to pick up this skill because it's something quite phenomenal. And so over the last 4 years, just really obsessed with learning how to trade, specifically options, but obviously you can trade any asset once you know how to truly understand and read charts and understand the markets as a whole. And so in that experience, I ended up spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on education. And then throughout that time, as I got better, I realized that the only way to truly master your trading is completely removing emotion. And how do you remove emotion? You just operate from a purely logical standpoint. So after about 20 different algorithms that I've built, this was the final one that was the one that had the highest profit factor. It has over a 2.5 profit factor, and has a well over 80% hit rate in terms of being right. If you look at this chart, for example, every single signal it's had so far is right. I think that's on a 3-minute chart on PTC when that screenshot was taken. So what we did was actually, since we were very talented at building businesses, we decided to actually build Steady Stack. Steady Stack initially, it started as a Web2 company. It's still a Web2 company as well. And we developed a training program to go with the algorithm itself, because at the end of the day, we like to say that the algorithm, although it has a phenomenally high hit rate, we've been approached by people to purchase the algorithm as a whole and just be bought out. We've obviously turned that down, because at the end of the day, the algorithm is much like a scope to a sniper, so to speak, right? If you aren't trained on how to use the sniper, you might cause serious harm to yourself or someone else. And so we devised a training program along with a framework to go along with the algorithm to help people profitably trade. And that's something that's been very helpful. We've been giving sneak peeks and teasers to our NFT side of the program, where people are literally able to get real-time alerts in the Discord of the algorithm alerts. And people have been profiting quite nicely. We also have very, very fortunate to have one of our members, Bo, step up. He's an incredibly talented swing trader in the options market, and we've had a lot of people have great success with that as well. So
yeah, absolutely. It's amazing. And Zan, you can even, I think you can share as well if you want to pull up anything on the algorithm and just show people as well for a quick second. But honestly, there are just main concepts that Zan and I are really looking to bring into the NFT space, because we think that, those are going to be the types of concepts that actually lead to mass adoption. And so if you're going to take one main takeaway, and it's going to be that we will lead these concepts and we will pioneer and show everyone how to actually get this done, right? And these concepts are: NFTs are businesses, NFTs are digital receipts, right? And then taking traditional business models and increasing efficiency with Web3 tech in NFTs. That's what's going to lead to mass adoption and sustainability, because at the end of the day, the tech can now operate like a business versus a boom and bust, speculative cash grab, which only works in a high tide bull market. Right? We want to move away from that, and we want to move towards, okay, how can we turn this NFT and make it part of a business and actually show the benefit to the holders and benefit to the business owners of why they should be doing business through NFTs, because it's just a way of doing business digitally. That's what it is, right? And so we need to move towards that rather than these memes and PFPs. And it's fun, but you guys got to understand it's a reflection of us, because we are the early ones. We are the 0.01% in NFTs. And so if you're watching this, start investing smarter, because that's what's actually going to push us to where we want to go.
So real quick, Hustle, do you know if my screen is shared?
It is, yeah. I threw it up.
Amazing. So as you can see over here, we have SPY on the 3-minute, and literally just a little bit ago at 2:30, we had a down signal. After that down signal, you can see we had a $2.9 move. So almost a % move in SPY, the S&P 500, which if you're trading options, this is like well over like a 200-300% move. So if you took this trade with options, you would have 2 to 3x by now. And this was like literally 40 minutes ago. So again, it's one of those things that we've literally spent so much money and so much time. I've spent thousands of hours burning my corneas out on a chart to try and master the different pieces of the pattern recognition technology that we've built out here. And that's basically what we've had to do at the end of the day, is develop this pattern recognition software that really, some people think it's an indicator. It's not really an indicator as much as it is using technology to constantly look at patterns and identify, hey, this is where the trade is going to take place. And so it's something that I use every single day in my trading. But
you should pull up Bitcoin. You should pull up Bitcoin on the 4-hour or something. I know we're on crypto banter. Everybody's gonna be all about the crypto.
They'll love a little Bitcoin chart.
Yeah, and honestly, people were going crazy in the Discord because we called out. Look at that move, Zan. We called that out in the Discord. That signal showed up and people got out. They switched to stables and literally saved themselves from massive, massive, massive corrections. So it's just a tool, to increase your efficiency. And that's what the Illuminati is all about, right? Have access to things that nobody else does.
And I want to answer this in the chat because I see this question. So Craig Cole, still not sure how Web3 improves efficiency in the case of membership or alpha groups. I will tell you this now. It's very easy to share a lot. One of your buddies buys a course on drop shipping. Let's just complete a random example, a course that came to mind. You buy a drop shipping course, but you could just send your login information for that membership to your friend and anyone in your network and be like, here, access this course. You can use my information. What this does is it verifies your ownership. Are you going to be going around giving your seed phrase to everyone to get the same access that you not only paid for, but that is literally digitally owned by you? It literally verifies that you are the owner of that access pass or whatever it is that you are getting, whether it's a course, whether it's algorithm access, or whether it's inside information or alpha from anyone in the space. That is why I think that membership and alpha groups are one of the big keys with Web3. I think that it's your key to the castle type of thing. And I know y'all share that pretty similar opinion.
Absolutely. And I'll give you one more way. I can't drop everything because then, we may not be as proprietary as we are right now. But there are a lot of ways,
right?
There are a lot of ways that you can increase efficiency. And as a business owner, Zan and I, we actually run a couple software companies. You can actually increase the touch points and the interaction between the business and the user so much better if it's done through NFTs, because NFTs are digital receipts, right? And so, the best example I can give you is this, right? Like, let's say you guys go to, your local pharmacy, right? And when you go to the pharmacy and you buy something, right? In the States, we have CVS. Every time you go to CVS, they're going to give you a $2 coupon on your receipt, right? And obviously these have time frames on them that you can use them before they expire, right? Well, I never use them. I always throw my receipt away, right? And sure, you could go get it emailed to you, but chances are it'll just expire before you go back, right? That's the whole point, is they want you to go back in time. Well, what if you could get all these NFTs, and even if they expire, since they're all there, now easily CVS, the company, could go ahead and say, hey, if you have 5 receipts or 5 coupons that expired, you can mint them together and you can have an active coupon. Well, that's it. Basically, it's the future of loyalty and gamification programs to actually, increase the amount of interaction and, again, touch points between the business and the user. And there's so many creative ways to go about this without saying too much.
Yeah, definitely. I know we could honestly talk about, the way that this works and the NFT ownership of a membership or of some sort of technology that you really actually truly have ownership to, and just where the space is now and where we see this going and how businesses can integrate it. So we'll wrap it up really quickly, and I'll pop my screen back up here. If you guys don't already, follow Steady Stack NFT on Twitter. Be sure to follow Hassan at ReadyPlayerH and Zan over at Shaikh on Twitter. These guys are dropping a lot of information across the space and really bright minds. I'm really happy to finally have them on. We've talked about this for months, it feels like. And with all the Twitter spaces we've done, it was an honor to have you guys on the show. Anything y'all want to leave the audience with before we wrap up?
I mean, firstly, thank you so much, Johnny. You're an incredible person and you're an incredible mind. Given so many great insights to this project, and I appreciate everything you do. A couple pieces of alpha for everybody. We may have a meetup in Miami for anybody in the Steady Stack Discord, and also the thing is of ours Discord, which is Johnny's project, in the next couple days. So keep an eye out for that. It's still up in the air because obviously neither of our projects have minted yet, but we are minting in exactly 2 weeks. Okay, so that's the alpha for you guys. And if you are watching this, go in the Steady Stack Discord, submit an application, and say that you were here watching this, and you have a higher likelihood of actually getting a whitelist. We are running out pretty soon here. But yeah, again, Johnny, appreciate you so much. Really looking forward to making an incredible impact on the Web3 space, and really just showing people how NFTs should be done. And then, yeah, guys, look out for that meetup in the next week. We may do something special for you guys. And, as far as the future of NFTs go, Johnny, I think we might have to take that off of Twitter and maybe we do it privately for our NFTs, maybe once a month or bi-weekly or something. So, keep an eye out, guys. We're going to be delivering crazy value to our communities, and hopefully you can be a part of it.
And
Yeah,
one last thing I would mention.
Go ahead, Zan.
Yeah, one last thing I would mention is also, we're also doing this from a perspective of, we see the space is very, it's in its infancy, and we know that the right principles when it comes to generating real value and real utility, providing some real structure, because at the end of the day, I just used the catchphrase, when it comes to running a profitable business, there's always comes down to the value exchange, and then proper leadership, proper organization, making sure that there's a solid product market fit. Because at the end of the day, we're exchanging value. That's what humans always do as social creatures. And so we really hope that founders are inspired and they watch the way that we operate and the way that we execute, and they begin to see, hey, okay, these are pieces of applied wisdom that RPH and Shaikh are applying. Well, how can I go do that? Because what they're doing is they're not solving for a cash grab. We already did that. We have our cash flow. They're not solving for notoriety or fame. We already took care of that. They're solving for the longevity of the project. They want the project to be able to exist for the long term. And one of the luckiest things that we say, we honestly think that, there's clearly a divine intervention, is, we didn't mint during the bull. And one of the benefits of doing that is, when you're minting in a time of euphoria, there's a great book called A Short History of Financial Euphoria. There's a short history of financial euphoria. And it's a book in 94. And it talks about how at the end of the day, what's so important is when financial markets come down, you do truly need those actual fundamentals being applied. And so we really hope that, as we do these things and as we push this project forward, people can emulate that.
Yeah, we can open some eyes. And I know we have to run, Johnny. I'll leave everybody with one last piece of alpha here. If the project has no plans of generating any type of cash flow beyond just a single collection, and their only methods are trading volume or additional collections as a whole, keep that as a red flag. And the reason I say that is because if there's nothing behind the project that can be monetized and offered in a manner that is a lot more long-term and sustainable beyond just additional collections, you're going to run into trouble. And again, that's probably the most clear thing that you could see over the past year, 2 years in NFTs, is people would make a bunch of money, they'd run out of the money, and then they say, oh, hey, I need another, 10,000 pieces to make X amount to give you, X, Y, and Z. And so don't fall for that, right? And honestly, that will really, really help you guys. So again, Johnny, appreciate you so much. Thank you for having us on. And we got to meet up within this next week, man.
Yeah, definitely. We'll get together. We might do something special for both communities as well. If we can come up with that on a good day where people can come out and be able to, I know it's short notice as well. So we'll figure all that out. Join SteadyStack's server, join our Discord server as well. And we'll be doing a lot more of these Twitter spaces, and eventually probably take them behind closed doors as well to our private communities. So Hassan, Zan, thank y'all so much for joining me today. If y'all enjoyed the video, guys, please be sure to drop a like. If you are bullish on the future of the NFT space and on SteadyStack, as well, subscribe to the channel for daily crypto content here, whether it's charts, whether it's DeFi, whether it's NFTs and NFT gaming. We have you covered here on Crypto Banter. I'll be back tomorrow with another show. As always, play well, my friends.
Thank you, guys.